Stream. Okay. And we are live. Okay, I'm just going to adjust my screen here. All righty. Okay. We're here. We're live. Yay. All right. Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here. I'm really, really excited. I know Lois is too, to be bringing you this amazing woman. Once again, we've talked before, Lois, and so I'm really excited to share with our audience again the work that you do. I mean, it's so needed. So Lois, thank you so much for being here.
And thank you for bringing this information forward. We all need it at this, well, we always need it, and it's for everybody.
Yes, yes. Thank you, thank you. So let's see here. Lois, I'm going to introduce you, and then you can just go ahead and share a little bit about your story and what you do and what we're here for. So Lois is a shame guilt educator, an RN and BSN, and Reverend counselor and a filmmaker. And I would like to say that if you haven't been to her website and seen her films about what she's discovered about shame guilt, I would highly recommend it. How long are your films?
Well, the first one is 20 minutes out of discord into harmony, and it teaches you how to talk with the parts of your unconscious mind, especially your inner critic, and how you make friends with them. And then the second one is I'm Good Film, and it shows what shame guilt energy looks like and how it affects us. That's 15 minutes, and it's 3 episodes. The first one's out, the second one's out coming out next week. And the third one is talking with our inner critic and making our friend, not our enemy.
Nice, nice. Okay. Yes, highly recommend them. I've watched them and I learned so much, but it's really amazing work. Okay, so now Lois and I did work together on what she is presenting to the world, what her gifts are for myself as well. And I was amazed because I thought I mean, I know I did some of this work 20 years ago, but not in the way you present it. Okay. So I found that I had parts of me, I guess you could say, the inner critic. I guess we all kind of have unfortunately have an inner critic, right? That was had a very vocal voice within me. So Lois helped me with giving her a new job, I guess you could say, right? And she's been doing a really good job with that on her job. She has a new career, let's just say that. And Lois will explain that as we go through our broadcast tonight. So Lois, take it away.
Okay, how did I become a shame guilt educator? It wasn't like when I was 20, I had this goal of being a shame guilt educator. I started in the nursing profession around 12 and continued on always being interested in health, well-being, and I switched from normal, what you would call allopathic medicine, into holistic health to save my own life. And then I realized the richness of a holistic environment. However, somewhere in my 50s, I did the midlife crisis. Even though I was very, very popular in my own work and did very well setting up the first kidney hemodialysis unit in the country in 66 and following that through into all parts of the United States. However, my abused childhood came forward with the shame guilt. And I fell into a very deep hole of guilt and shame. Like that happens. And even though I'm an energetic, positive person, it still took me down. And I went to therapy and I didn't want to commit suicide anymore, but I wasn't happy. I was just chugging along and I knew that that wasn't where happiness is. And through my own journey and through the help of spirit, I had a near-death experience and I've always been talking to God. I thought everybody did. That's why I made movies, because I'm talking about things and people say, what are you talking about? I go, don't you see that? So anyway, that's why I became a filmmaker at 66, because I had to do film. Anyway, through spirit's direction, I learned that shame guilt is an energy force that comes into our being, just like the love energy comes into our being. Now, our love energy gives us joy, happiness, self-esteem, willingness to go on. We thrive, we're compassionate, we're intuitive, we have all the spiritual gifts. So love gives us all of these wonderful feelings, and which we use to speak with spirit. Then it comes negative energy, which we call shame guilt energy. When you name it, you can deal with it. So people say, oh, I'm so stressed out, I have this negativity, but people don't use the word shame guilt energy, and it becomes very nebulous. So my job is to say negative energy is shame guilt energy. And once we name it, then we can deal with it. And the shame guilt energy comes into us like a computer virus comes into our computer. It messes it all up. It turns our compassion to depression, our intuition to anxiety, and our passion to anger. So I was very excited because I didn't have to go to therapy for anxiety and depression, and suicide, and all sorts of procrastination and all these other negative. I'd be dead before I would be happy. So I was very excited that if I would only deal with getting rid of the shame guilt that I carried, then my negative emotions would turn positive. I thought that was a miracle, and it is.
That is, because this is why I'm so fascinated with you, Lois, is because we've never heard anything that I know of. I've never heard anything like this before.
I'm the one and only person that's saying this today.
Yeah.
And I'm blessed that Spirit gave me the information to share. And that's my job. That's my job here. And I'm grateful that I can share my job with you, because we, all of us, have been duped. We have been tricked to think shame guilt owns us. We don't own it. It's not part of humanity. And that's where the trick is. We have been tricked by our culture, our parents, the Pope, religious leaders, everybody, our friends, our enemies.
Yeah.
Everybody uses shame guilt energy. And since I'm talking to a spiritual group, the shame guilt energy only lives off of our light. So
can you explain that?
They're a parasite.
Okay.
And they need our light to survive. So once we say no, and we learn how to get rid of it within our subpersonalities, like I did with you, It leaves because it lost its food source. Okay, does it lose 100%? No, I haven't figured that one out yet, but we still have a residual. But I am so much better than I used to be.
Yeah. So I would assume the more we work on it, the less of the energy is
Will
there.
be there because
Right.
they want to go to people that are like a steak and eat.
What do you mean?
They don't want to eat a little crumb, so they're going to get they won't deal with you anymore because
Oh,
you're
I
not
see.
high quality. You don't have enough shame guilt for them. You don't have enough. You don't let them in.
Well, okay. Let me ask you this. Okay, so I'm a little confused about that because if they feed off our light, because shame guilt isn't, it's dark energy, right? It's
Yes,
not
and it
light
needs it
energy.
to survive. It
Okay.
because God did not give Satan the ability to have light energy. We are the only species that have light from God, and we keep manifesting more with God. Satan cannot do that. And so it robs the light from people, from the human race.
Okay. So if you're working on yourself and you're taking in more light, right? As you release shame guilt, you're taking in more light. Why does that, I guess I'm trying to wrap my head around this. Why does that cause shame guilt to go to someone else if you're taking in more light? Is it
Because
because
you're
you're not,
too hard to deal with. You keep throwing them away.
oh, so your light is basically it transforming,
Yes, it's
the
transforming.
darkness is transforming.
And you know the surprise of shame, guilt, energy. You're like, I don't deal with you. So they have to go to some victim.
You're not feeding the energy.
Right, right. So you're like, no, no, no buy here. Not for
Okay.
sale. And so
Okay.
they go to somebody who's easy. You're hard. Once you start resisting shame, guilt, they leave you because you're too hard to deal with.
Okay.
They want somebody easy.
Right. Right. Okay. So does
Because we're really shame buckets. And if you're shame bucket, they can keep getting to you. So once
right.
you know and you say, no, I don't accept this, they have to go away because they only dissolve in detection.
Okay. So if you're like what you say, a shame bucket, and you feel shameful about things over and over, throughout your day, that kind of thing, where you're beating yourself up, basically, oh, I'm ashamed of myself, and even though it's not even conscious, then that is something that feeds off itself, kind of thing. Does that make sense?
Exactly. Yes,
Okay.
exactly. You understand. And
Yeah.
it's easy for them. I mean, you're not, let's face it, people go to where it's easy for them, not where it's difficult.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's why education is so important. And then once you learn to work with the inner critic, not to produce the shame guilt, then you really make headway because you don't shame guilt yourself and you don't take it in from other people.
Mm-hmm. So we have been programmed so much.
And that's the
Oh,
secret.
okay. Okay. We have been programmed so much to be shameful. I mean, look at, and I was raised Catholic, so I feel like I can say this, the crucifixion,
Oh,
how much shame is there for humanity? I mean, I can't, um,
I heard a Bible study once for children like 4 and 5, and they go, and God died for your sins. And the 4-year-old's going, what did I do wrong? I know that happened to me. I was crying. I was like
yeah.
years old in confession, waiting to go into confession. And I start crying. And the sister, none of us Catholics, saying, why are you crying? I said, I can't find my sins. And if I can't find my sins, I'm going to go to hell.
Mm-hmm.
And God died for my sins, but I can't find my sins. I
Okay.
mean, what does a 6-year-old that's Catholic, that has 100% Polish family, that doesn't do anything, find sins?
Yeah.
And I cried so desperately to find my sins. I can't
What child has sins anyway?
find my sins. And that was even more guilty.
Yeah. Boy, talk about heaping it on. So, So one question I do want to ask you, and I've thought about this, and I think there's a comment here. It looks like from Kat. Is shame, guilt an emotion?
It's an energy that activates emotions.
Activates emotion. Okay.
That's
Okay.
where it's different. We own our emotions. I own depression. I talk to depression. I own all my emotions. I do not own shame, guilt. I never, if I feel guilty, I say, I feel remorse. I feel regret, but I don't feel guilt.
Right. Okay.
And that's just a mind change. Because when you feel regret for something, you do restitution. Like one of my friends was very guilty because her mother died from alcoholism and she couldn't help her. So what she did after her mother passed, she started a group for people who were willing to rid themselves of the alcoholism, and she felt atoned for that. See, so regret moves us into solutions. Guilt lives us into suicide.
Yeah. Wow.
Sad but true.
Yeah. This is fascinating. It's something we all need to know for sure. You know, you talking about someone who feels guilty when their mother dies, and they couldn't do anything for her. I have so many clients that the information comes through, when their loved ones come to them in mediumship, wanting to lift that burden of guilt off the client's shoulders, because there's lots of reasons why they might feel guilty or shameful, because of not being there when they died, you know, feeling like they didn't do enough for their loved one, especially in suicide.
Oh,
Yeah. So our loved ones don't
tremendous.
want us to feel that no matter what. And yeah, and I've found that just knowing that, and what you're saying here confirms all that for me, just knowing that is when the person knows that they did nothing wrong and they don't have any reason to hold on to that anymore, they can
But they could
transform
use
it.
the words regret
Yeah.
or reform.
Okay.
And that way it moves them into a positive result. Guilt only takes you down to suicide. That's it. There's nothing after that. But when you have regret or remorse, or like, I wish I could have, well, I couldn't help my mother, but I can help my friends and join a group.
Yeah. Right.
I got
Yeah.
chills on that one.
Good. Well, then we're all here to help each other. Right? Yeah,
Right.
totally. So joining a group is perfect. We're all here to help each other.
And one other suggestion is do not use the word shame, guilt in your vocabulary, like, oh, it's such a shame I can't go out today because
Yeah.
it's raining so hard. It's not shame. It's sad, unfortunate. Oh, I feel so guilty because I couldn't, fix the water hose.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm calling the mechanic because he can fix it.
Yeah.
I'm not a fixer of a hose. I mean, we
It's,
have to change our vocabulary.
I love that, because it's just, I was thinking the other day, we joke around and say, oh, shame on you, kind of thing. And
And that's you're putting
it's so prevalent in our language.
shame on somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, that's why we got to talk about it.
I just said this the other day to someone as a joke. And I'm like, oh my gosh, why did I say that? Because I talked with you after.
Okay.
I mean, I remembered your work.
So what you can do in that moment, see the shame, guilt energy. You're all very psychic. You can see it as dark energy or dark green. Just take it off of the person that you gave it to and give it to the universe for a recycle. Instead of feeling guilty, take it off. Do something positive. You can take shame, guilt off of yourself and throw it back to the universe.
Yeah.
Physically, you can do that. That's why I made the film, to show you what it looks like.
Okay. Nice. So can you share, Lois, unless you want to share more about that?
No, that's fine. Questions are good.
Okay. Yes. Anyone who has questions, please share them in the chat for Lois. I am monitoring the chat here. Okay, so we do have some comments. This is awesome. Emotional intelligence is so important, and more like the mechanics of emotions. It helps so much with self-awareness and empowerment. Yes.
Yes, it's the whole
Yes.
thing.
And I'm assuming this is Kat from Third Eye. Yay!
Oh, I
Kat.
love Kat.
Yeah. Love that you're both sharing this combo. And yes, he did say once you realize shame guilt isn't you, you release attachment to it. If you don't identify with that emotion, then the energy can't find a place to siphon your energy.
He's so smart.
Isn't he? I know, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I love him.
Okay. I was going to ask you, what is share a little bit about your work and how you can help people with digging into this, and because it's something that's ingrained in us, right?
Yes, but
Over
it
centuries
also,
and centuries.
since Adam and Eve, and it's about time we get rid of it.
Yeah.
And we have the first thing to know is that shame guilt does not belong to us. Shame guilt is not ours to own or to give. It's a foreign. Kat says it's an alien presence. And he's right, but we can't say that on all podcasts. But Kat
Really?
said it's, yeah. He said that's an alien.
Yeah.
And I'm going, you're right. So if you really want to be technical, it's an alien presence that doesn't belong to humanity.
Okay. That makes
Okay.
sense. Mm-hmm.
That's what it is.
That makes sense to me. That's for
Well,
sure.
of course, because we get it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I can't say that all the time because they go, well, we don't talk about such things. But anyway, so
We
it's
do.
foreign. Yeah, it's foreign matter. And the fact that it's outside of us, we can take it and throw it back. But we actually have, it's like when we clean the house, we can't say, okay, everything go in the trash. Not yet. When we get 64 strands, maybe we can. But right now we have to pick up the trash and put it in the trash can.
Okay.
At least I
love
do.
that. Yeah.
So we actually have to find the shame guilt. And what dissolves in detection, and then we can send it to the universe for recycling. We can send it back to whoever gave it to us, whatever you feel to do. It's okay. It's just so that you energetically remove it from your body. But once it's detected, it kind of loses its power. It's like the Wizard of Oz. You know, when Dorothy saw the wizard, he said, oh, you're just a man with the pipe and it smokes. I'm not afraid of you. And that's what I want to tell people. Don't be afraid of shame guilt because it's only a deceivement. It's only deceiving you. It's a trickster. It's the biggest trick placed upon humanity.
Wow.
In some ways, it's funny. How could something do this to us? Such supreme high beings. And we're taken by this alien energy? Duh.
Yeah, it tricked us.
So when psychology calls it an emotion, we own it.
I see.
Shame guilt triggers our emotions. It triggers our positive emotions into negative ones.
Okay.
That's, if we just get that today and really embody it, we know that we don't have to feel that. And so if you feel this shame guilt, you go, okay, that doesn't belong to me, but what do I feel? I feel depression. Okay, you can start talking to your depression. Hi, depression, how are you? Thank you so much for coming to see me. What is your name? And then you work on the inner parts of yourself. And that's what my film is, Out of Discordant to Harmony. I show how to speak with your emotions. And they're the ones you talk with. And they've been duped too with shame guilt. So when you find your emotions and you find that part of yourself that has the energy of shame guilt over them when you were 4 years old, that you got hollered at because you didn't look pretty or had the wrong colored dress on or something, you can actually help that part of yourself release that energy. So you don't really release it from yourself, you release it from the inner parts of yourself. And that's why it's a little bit deeper, but shame guilt is the deepest thing there is.
Yeah, it's at the bottom of the consciousness level, the
Yeah, well,
frequency. Yeah.
shame on this vibratory scale, the Hawkins vibratory scale,
Right.
shame is the last emotion of density to be alive. After shame is suicide. So when you're
Yeah,
ashamed,
shame and guilt.
it's a risky place to be, and that's why we have shame guilt buddies. Like if you're feeling really shameful, like you and I could be buddies and say, "Oh my God, I can't get out of this hole." You would help me get out, and vice versa. I've worked with that in some groups that we have shame guilt buddies.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah.
Because
To
when
help.
you're in a shame guilt isolation misery, you can't help yourself. You need a friend to help you to get out. Say, "Oh, remember Lois said, oh, okay, I forgot." Shame takes over your consciousness and makes you confused. And you have a distorted view of yourself. But you can't see that because you're in it. So you need someone to help you out of it. Like the AA has your sponsorship person, you can have like a shame guilt buddy. That works really well.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Shame guilt distorts our nervous system. So we don't think clearly. So when you're confused about something, you go, aha, that's shame guilt, get the heck out of here. You don't stay in confusion because you're not a confused person, but shame guilt distorts your meridians, it distorts your ley lines inside of you, and everything gets distorted. I just had a person came to me and he had a stroke, and the doctor said, "There's nothing wrong with you. It's just emotional. You had a stroke." And he said, "It's just because you have a lot of stress." But that's really hard to deal with. And I said, "You have a lot of shame guilt and you call it stress. But now that we can call it shame guilt energy, the fact that we can call it shame guilt energy instead of stress, then you can deal with it. But you can't deal with stress. It's nebulous. Because you try not to be stressful and then you get more stressful.
Yeah, it's a catch-22 for sure.
But if you call it shame guilt energy, then you can work on it.
So I'm thinking about, just walking through your day. Say you don't work out or you don't meditate or something like that, and you think, "Oh, I should do this," and then that shame, builds up right there, right? Say you're doing something and you feel like you should be doing something else, which is working out or meditating or working on your project or something like that. I mean, that right there can
trigger it.
Can trigger it.
So you say, "Ah, I see your shame, get out."
Okay.
Acknowledge it and say, "Oh, that's shame, stupid shame, get the heck out. Go to somebody else, go to the universe."
Or go to the universe for transformation.
Or whatever you want to do, but just get out of here. You're not welcome here.
I don't want to send it to somebody else.
Yeah, so I mean, that's what I'm saying. You do what you do. You need to do what you need to do. Just get it out of you. It's not welcome here. I see you, therefore you don't exist. Goodbye. And I'm working on my project, or I'm going to take a nap. Duh. That awareness is huge.
It is. That's what Yeshua has always taught me is don't feel guilty about something that, if you made a decision that you feel you could have done better on, whatever, just move on and correct it or whatever you need to do, but don't feel guilty, because guilt is what keeps us paralyzed. Yeah. So thank
Yeah,
you.
but instead of entertaining it, you just
Mhm.
get rid of it.
Right.
You don't analyze it. That's what I'm saying. Don't take the time to say, oh, I shouldn't feel guilty. Just say, out of here.
Yeah.
As soon as you feel it, you get rid of it. But don't start analyzing, oh, I shouldn't feel this. I should do. No, out.
Right. So it's deprogramming too, right?
Immediate. Shame's quick.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you got to be conscious of it. And you're not going to catch it every time. But when you do, I mean, like all of a sudden they walk around, oh, I remember that. Get rid of it. Flip it away or
Just,
whatever you do. Just, yeah,
yeah.
everybody has their own way. Just don't own it. Because if
Right.
you talk about it and think about it, you're owning it. I don't own that energy. It belongs to another species. You can have it. Goodbye. And if you think about how our world has crumbled into victimhood,
Mm-hmm.
think about the shaming and the guilting that's gone on in our lives for millennials time.
Oh yeah.
Wars and famine and, illnesses that you created, that you did. And I breathed on somebody and it goes on and on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
So we
really
have a
ramped up.
fight, but we can win.
We are winning.
We are winning, and we can't evolve unless we get rid of the low energy of shame, guilt that's holding us down.
Right.
Once we, and that's what I'm all about, we can't evolve to who we really are because shame, guilt's holding us down. And
Mm-hmm.
I ain't going to let that happen. Like, heck, I came here to evolve. So get out now.
Yes. So you and I talked before we came on live about laughter, how laughter can just get us out of that mindset, right? I mean,
What raises your vibration?
raises your vibration and totally flips
Flips the
flips it
switch.
on its head. Yeah.
And you say, okay, I see you. You're a trickster. Really? You think you can really get me? And then you do something else.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, totally doing something that makes you feel good. Dance, laugh, laugh,
Yeah.
laugh, laugh. So
And when you're laughing and dancing, you just go,
right?
yeah, throw it away.
Movement.
Throw it away. Yeah, doesn't belong to me.
Would you
Not
say
mine to own.
movement is really important too?
Yeah, because you're like throwing it away. Like,
Right.
get out of here. Get out of here. Get out of here. I know you're here. I
Uh-huh.
see you. So, yeah, watch my film and you'll say, I see it.
So we have a question and then I'd like
And
to
yes,
move on.
this is new. This is new information.
Right? Yeah, I haven't, like I said earlier, I haven't heard anything about this before. Not that I know everything about
No, there
different
isn't.
healing modalities, that I haven't heard this from anyone.
Yeah, I've been on podcasts and they say, I don't think we're talking about the same thing. And I said, that's okay. You get it later. My fault. It's okay.
Well, it's definitely a new way of
Approach.
seeing things. Yeah. Approach. Thank you. So we have a question here from Pacific Prospector. Hello. Does Lois see these beings as those written about in the Gospel of St. Thomas called the archons?
I don't know that. I see it as a dark energy. Now, that's what I see, but you may see it as another form because of
Mm-hmm.
your relationship with different beings. Um, I just see it as a black form. Sometimes I saw it like a worm. I really did, a big fat worm. But that's hard for people to see. So I just say it's a black energy, a green energy. But feel free to see whatever you see, because what you see is real. It's just not belongs to you. And if you can see more clearly, then you really are blessed. You're very blessed to see that energy, and you're more likely to get rid of it.
Right. Right.
So blessings to you.
Yeah. But you don't, excuse me, you don't really have to see it to know it's there.
No, you don't.
Mm-hmm.
The feeling is enough.
Mm-hmm. Right. Knowing that, and I'm sure we all know what shame, guilt feels like
And
in,
fear,
in
fear,
some ways. Fear,
fear is shame double.
the crux
Fear
of it.
is
Okay.
shame that's locked inside of us. That's why it's so hard to get rid of it.
Oh,
Shame locked inside of us is fear. That's what therapists call fear, but it's shame that you can't get rid of because it's locked inside of you. And that's why don't be afraid. Don't, well, it's locked inside of me. How can I not feel it? So I, once you start ridding of shame, the fear lessens. Now, I would like to use the words awareness rather than fear, because when you're aware of things, you're not in fear. I mean, you're conscious, like, oh, I can't step into that hole, I'll get hurt. I'm not fearful, I'm just aware. Again, change in your vocabulary.
right. Okay. So, I had a question, but it went out of my head already. Uh, I'm sure it'll come back. I hope. Okay. Continue. Oh, this isn't my question, but I would like for you to talk about Lois, talk about talking to your personality parts and how how you helped me somewhat with that, especially the inner critic, how people can maybe recognize that part of
Okay,
you.
so when you're you know preparing for a lecture or video, something, and like I'm going, oh, I'm so afraid I'm going to mix it up, and because last time I made a goof and I said the wrong words, and I'm so embarrassed, I don't think I really want to do this again. And you would say, hi, who is talking? And then you may hear a voice that says, I don't talk to you because you're a subordinate. I mean, the inner critic is
Yeah.
just like, he's like God Almighty, because he's been in charge. And he said, of course you're going to mess up because that's who you are. And then you say and who are you? What is your name? Oh, I don't talk to you. I don't give you my name. Well, then you say, well, how can we work together if I don't know your name? Why should I work with you? You mess everything up. So it's that kind of dialogue that you don't give up. Eventually you say, do you know that you will never be anything greater than what you are today? And what are you talking about? Would you like to have more power? Oh, yeah, now you're talking. How can I get more power? And then you say, if you work together with me, helping the emotions with love energy and not the shame, we can work together. And then how am I going to have more power? Well, you don't have to babysit me anymore. You can roam around and have your own job, like my inner critic finds me podcasts. And you don't have to be stuck babysitting. Well, I said, you're living in an age when I was 4 and 5 and 6 and I needed help. I'm a grown woman 50 years later. I have matured. So come into my timeline. So I mean, we can't do it in a minute or two.
Right.
You have to
Yeah.
do it in days, because you have to show the inner critic that you don't accept shame guilt, because he gives you
Right.
trials. Like somebody will come to you and do all that shame stuff, and you just go, oh, oh. And the inner critic will say, oh, okay, you passed the test. I
Mhm.
don't have to babysit you anymore.
And this is the work you do with people.
That's what I do.
Right. or some of it.
with
Yeah.
people, and you can see it in my video how I
Hmm.
talk with the inner critic.
Hmm.
And then at the end he goes, you love me too. And I cry
Oh, yeah.
because he loves you so much. He's been protecting you, but he doesn't know it's the year 2022. He thinks it's the year 1960. Nobody told him.
Okay. That that makes sense. With these parts of us that get, I guess you could call it fragmented or something, when we've experienced trauma or
They are
something.
fragmented because
Yeah.
shame guilt, yeah, shame guilt fragments us so that we get separated. What does shame guilt do to our friends? We stay away from each other, right?
Right.
It fragments us. So once we get rid of the shame guilt, and how are we going to get rid of the shame guilt? We got to go to the one that's producing it. No matter what you do, the inner critic's going to keep producing because that's his job. His job is to create enough shame and guilt so you stay where you are. Not until he says, oh, okay, I don't have to do this anymore. But I don't care if you're 90 years old. If you didn't talk to the inner critic, he's still going to make you feel bad because nobody told him that he doesn't have to do that anymore.
Okay.
It sounds strange, but it's true.
It doesn't sound strange to me because I hear those voices. We all have those voices, I think. A lot of us hear those voices when we,
And you say, who is talking? What is your name? What is your name? Say, what is your name? Because they all have a name. And you
they told
don't
me their
give,
names. Mm-hmm.
yeah, you don't give them a name. They tell you their name because it's narcissistic. Say, your name is Charlie and your name is George. You can't do that. You say, what is your name? And then one of my parts would not say their name. And I said, I got to have a name. I don't have a name. Okay, thank you so much. I will call you no name. And then after like 2 months, he said, I am not no name. My name is Unstoppable. And I went, okay, that's good to me.
So, Lois, do you find yourself communicating on a regular basis with your parts, or
I
just
did
go ahead.
yeah. In the beginning, I was doing it all the time. Like I'd wake up 3 o'clock in the morning and somebody was talking inside of me.
Yeah.
They wanted all, so there was an intense period of time. And then as time goes on, you just sort of, when things come up, you go, oh, okay, what's happening? Da, 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 and that's it. It's kind, and then it sort of goes on automatic after a while.
Okay. Right. So, okay. So I want to break this down so that maybe people can understand it. What we're doing is bringing these parts into present time because they are stuck in the time of the trauma, wherever they needed to.
They can't move because
Yeah.
shame is like glue. It's like sticky fly paper. They can't move. They're
Okay.
stuck.
Right.
And you're like, can I help you get unstuck? Because shame is sticky. I know that sounds weird, but shame is a sticky substance and it holds you stuck. So you're actually stuck in shame. And when you get rid of the shame, the glue gets off of you and then you're unstuck. Isn't that interesting?
It is.
I call it sticky shame.
Which makes sense why it's so prevalent.
It's sticky.
It's sticky.
Like taffy.
Yeah.
So that's what I see, sticky shame.
Sticky shame.
You can use that if you like. It's okay.
Okay. I don't want any of it anyway. So this, as I understand it, and I've always felt this anyway and taught this, is it's really important to pay attention to our thoughts, and and our thoughts are voices in our mind, to hear what exactly is we are saying to ourselves and putting out there, right?
Yeah, because what I'm doing is we all talk to ourselves and we all answer ourselves. I'm just giving you helping you have a name for the part that's talking to you. Like I like to call you Sharon, not hey you. When I call you Sharon, it lights up. So you exist. When your subpersonality has a name, then they exist. If they don't have a name, they don't exist.
I see.
Very, very important.
Right.
They all have names.
So this is different than what I understand, like maybe mainstream psychology of integrating parts of us.
Yeah, but you have to work with them. You can't say, oh, everybody integrate, da da da.
Right.
Like the trash. You can't. It's a process, and each of us have individual parts. Like Sally doesn't get along with George, and you got to say, okay, George, can you talk to Sally? And you're really the ambassador between your parts. Okay, George, you did this. And one of my clients was a Catholic from Ireland. He moved to Sedona. Irish Catholic, okay, very staunch Catholic. He came to Sedona and he did all the Buddha stuff. And he was in anxiety big time. And he was referred to me because the doctors couldn't find why he has anxiety. But he had George the Catholic and Gladys the Buddha, and they were fighting. So he had to talk to the Buddha and say, what do you want? And the Catholic, and eventually they merged their religions and he was fine.
Oh, wow. That's funny. So, I've got all these questions rolling around in my head. So we've been taught, as I understand it, through psychology and all that, over the many years, that when we when we hear voices, or when we talk to ourselves talk to different parts of ourselves, that we're crazy.
That we're schizophrenic.
We're schizophrenic and crazy. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Schizophrenic people have an exaggeration of their inner parts.
Okay.
They can't find home. Okay. They can't find home. You and I have Gladys and George and King and da. But I'm home. They're parts of me. And schizophrenia and people of that nature are so rare. And I know therapists that write books, about that because it's so profound. But seriously, that's us on steroids. But they have no way of integrating them. Now, it'd be interesting to do this work with this person who's schizophrenic. I don't know. I haven't done that. So we'll see. But this is okay. I have a part that's George and I have a part that's Anne, and but I keep that to myself. I don't tell everybody. But but
oh, now you're
but aren't you sometimes, should I go to that party or should I stay home? Don't you do that a lot? Like I can't decide what to do. And it's really one part doing something and the other part doing the other thing.
I see.
It's just we're naming what's happening to us. And when you name it, then you can resolve it. I just give them names. They give me names.
Okay. So when you're undecided on something, what you're saying is that it's different parts of you that are parts of you that can't make up or that have different ideas.
They both have different ideas. And what does a mother do when their kids are fighting? Okay, honey, what do you want? What do you want? Okay, can we compromise on this? You're doing the same thing to yourself. It's fun.
I guess I could, I see that once you get the hang of it. And I know that, once you get the hang of it and how do I put it? Don't see it as something that's so negative or bad. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yes. Now, I have come to learn from different people that have come to me that in Hawaii, this is their natural way of living.
Oh.
They call it, I forget what they call it. They go, oh, you're talking about this, that the Hawaiian people do. It's a normal life. This is normal, tribal, natural living.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we've been so overpowered by psychology
Mm-hmm.
that they make this bad. Again, blame and guilt. It's not bad. It's the normal way we are human. And I believe Jesus was teaching this when he said, bring the young children to me, suffer the children to me. He was talking about his inner parts.
Oh,
I
wow.
got chills again.
Yeah.
This is
So do
what he
I.
was teaching when he said, suffer the little children to me. And he was talking about the inner parts and stuff. And if you look at the Bible and think of it as internal, not external, you tend to see how we are all internal beings. And it's really what's inside of us that makes us who we are.
Mm-hmm. And that's what he taught. It's all internal.
That's what he taught. And I'm going with Jesus.
Yeah. Same here. So if anyone has any questions for Lois, the floor is open. I have many as they come up. Okay, so is there anything else you'd like to share about that? I'm just fascinated with the integration work, or not integration, but talking to your parts. I know that I've identified 3 with working with you, and you helped me tremendously. They told me their names. Well, the 3rd one hasn't yet, and I need to spend time with her because I haven't actually. I think that she is a he. The other 2 I saw were they had the persona of female, but one told me her name was Petal, and the other, my inner critic, told me her name was
I know
Superwoman.
that, yeah, some of them are just like so funny. um, and when you work with it, like my partner, it's an energy thing. So his parts start talking, and then he has a problem with memory. He's been working on it. And I said, well, ask your memory part, say hi. And he did. And he said, well, what is your name? He said, Memorex.
Memorex.
I mean, you can have so much fun.
That definitely. I would say that there's a lot of people that don't even know what a Memorex is.
Oh, yeah, that's
Don't
right.
remember
I'm
that.
78.
No, that's okay. You could, I remember it. I'm sure there are people on here that do, but there might be the younger generation might not. That commercial comes to mind. What is it about Memorex recordings, or I guess it was tapes or something?
Yeah, it was cassette tapes. People don't even,
Cassette tapes.
I still listen to my cassette tapes.
Oh, there you go. What's that? No, I'm kidding. Yeah, I remember 8-track even.
Well, they have some very
really
good
well.
channeling on it from the Palladians. So
Oh, nice. Nice.
I keep that. Anyway.
So we do have a question from Kat. Does Lois recommend using journaling as a vehicle for dialoguing with the inner selves?
Yes. Well, journaling is, hi, depression. How are you? Thank you so much for talking with me. And what do you have to say to me today? Do you like chocolate ice cream or vanilla ice cream? You get to know each other. It's your friend. It's part of you.
Mm-hmm.
And it can only make you a better, stronger person. Like once Unstoppable named himself, went, wow. And they come into your timeline and they heal. So I believe that when we become enlightened, all of our parts are in the timeline with us. And that's how we get our total strength. We have all of us together in 2022. We're not fragmented in different timelines.
that's very similar to the work I do in past life soul retrieval, where our
You bring in,
our other lifetimes are fragmented, bringing them in
yeah.
to the wholeness. Yeah, it's just a little bit different, or different
And
parts.
one of my clients, she could not find her anger part. And eventually she had a dream, and then she woke up and she found it. It was in Egypt from another lifetime, and she invited it back to this time. And she was a very, very impressive woman after that.
Mm,
So you're right. They get stuck in lifetimes, but your parts come with you every time you live. They don't, you come with the same people inside of you. And some of them get stuck because of sticky shame. And by your soul retrieval, you're helping them to come into this timeline. So you were doing the same thing.
yeah, that puts another whole nother light on the work I do. That I love that. Thank you, Lois. Yeah, that makes total sense.
Well, thank you, because we're all wanting to be totality here. And we got to bring ourselves into ourselves.
Right.
And that was so profound when she found her anger part in a sarcophagus in Egypt. I go, whoa.
That sounds profound. Um, Shelley, or who I lovingly call Sally, she reminded us, is it live or is it Memorex? That's the one. That's the commercial. Yeah. Okay. Hi, Shelley. Okay. And another question. Ask Lois about how releasing shame caused her to begin youthing. She looks much younger than 78. She does look much younger. Thank you, Kat. Yes.
Well, I will show you what I looked like at 55. I was dying, and I had gray hair and this and that, and I was a mess, and I was dying. But when a 6-year-old stuck in sticky shame in 1950 or 40 comes into your timeline, you receive the 6-year-old energy. They gift you. And people do get younger. A lot of my clients have gotten younger because they bring the young parts of themselves stuck into you. And that's where the healing comes in, because they have healing energy.
Wow.
It happens.
Yeah.
You youth instead of getting old.
That's a lot better than plastic surgery.
Well, it's better than Alzheimer's.
Well, yeah. Well, of course. Yeah, definitely.
Alzheimer's is when the parts of us give up.
Okay. Wow.
Because they can only hold on to shame for so long. It's heavy. It's heavy. And it's heavy. And they give up. And one of my parts said, "Are you the one to love me? I have one last breath." Because I was so laden with shame.
Wow.
That's scary. I cried. "Are you the one to love me?"
Yeah.
Yes, you do get younger the more you do this work. Yes. But I can't advertise it that way, but you
You
do.
can't advertise it as the fountain
Advertise
of
it, but you
youth.
do. Well, you can tell whatever it is, but it's true. I've gotten younger. And my husband got younger, and gray hair. He was bald. Now he had bold and gray hair. And now he's got black hair almost all over by doing this work.
Right.
So why
Well,
not do this work,
it only makes sense when we bring our parts into the present, that we would be more when
You
we're
invite
more
them.
whole. Pardon me?
Yeah, we invite them in. We can't go,
Well,
you
yeah,
we
right.
invite them in with love, and then
Sure.
go, I want to be there what you're doing. I went, okay, well, come on. And you can feel it. It's very exciting, especially your group who's very sensitive and spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what that's what the story is.
So it's basically restoring us back to who we really are and who we're meant to be, because we're not meant to age like we do.
Yes, that's correct.
Or these bodies are not meant to age so quickly. It's been, but we've been programmed and poisoned, emotionally, physically, spiritually,
Mentally,
whatever you want.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's a way out. I don't know the whole secret, but I'll let you know in 10 years. I'm rollerblading. I've done that before.
There
So
you go.
there
Wow. I'm impressed.
you go. I rollerblade with my grandkids because my kids are too old. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, what can I say? They say, don't worry, Mom. Asha will take me rollerblading. You don't have to go, Mom. So I'm going, oh, sure, sure.
What do they call you?
They call me Asha, Asha. It's came from the Polish name Busha. It's a long
Oh,
story, but they call
okay.
me Asha. You know how
Asha.
that goes. Grandpa, they Asha. Asha can take me. It's okay, Mom. Don't worry about it.
Nice. Nice. So you feel younger when you bring your parts in, when you invite when your parts come into the present, right? I mean, I imagine it can also help your health.
Of
Well,
course it does, because it brings in 6-year-old healthy energy.
mm-hmm.
Because it's not dispersed from a timeline. It's concentrated right there with you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what happens. It's all energy. That's who we are.
Right. So it
And the
brings more
more,
clarity.
of course, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because shame, guilt doesn't have a place anymore.
Right.
Shame can't sit at your table.
Right. And so it brings more clarity, better health. There's not that void within you, which we're always trying to fill, I would think.
Well, of course, the void is not a void. It's this presence of shame, guilt.
The
When you
feeling of
feel
a void.
empty,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, when you feel a void or an emptiness in you, it's shame, guilt. It's not empty. It's shame, guilt making you feel empty. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
When you
Yeah.
see the void, you go, out, shame, guilt. I see
Mm-hmm.
you. I know
Mm-hmm.
you are there.
Okay. So Lois, have you seen people in your work that you've worked with, have you seen people actually uh, take care of I hate to use the word, I don't hate anything, but I hesitate to use the word cure, but have you seen health issues
Resolved.
disappear, resolve?
They
Thank you.
resolve. Yeah. They
Okay.
resolve. Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm. But they have to do the work.
Right.
You
You
know what I mean?
continue with the
And
work is
it
what you're
isn't
saying.
like 20, yeah. And they don't, it isn't like we send 1 hour and that's it. This is a couple weeks, a month or so, and they do
Right.
the proper nutrients. You got to do the whole shebang.
Mm-hmm.
You got to do the night proteins and vitamins and all the other stuff, and then you have to do the emotional. But the interesting thing is, because I did a podcast with on fertility and people that have a miscarriage and everything. And we came to the conclusion that the shame, guilt energy distorts our reproductive system, because
Mm-hmm.
we feel so shameful we can get pregnant. And if we lose a baby, and the more shame you feel, the more likely you'll have a miscarriage. Okay, we haven't proven that, but it makes sense.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
shame guilt distorts your energy line, so it doesn't feed your
Yeah.
organs. It's just a big, big problem that we never really thought about.
Yeah. I've seen that with past life work when I've seen people who have lost children or felt shame and guilty for a child that has died in even maybe this life, but has died in another life, especially with the past life work, it's been carried forward,
Yeah,
and
so
they can't, and they aren't able to conceive for that
exactly.
reason. Yeah.
So we got to resolve it because it won't go away. We have to resolve the issue.
Hmm.
That's what, and the most healing is really at this time in history, we can do the most healing
Yeah.
that's available. You know that, we're given more of an opportunity to heal.
Right. Right. And can you expound on that?
Um, I was told that by spirit. All I know is that this is the time that the most energies for someone who wants to heal this lifetime is the biggest chance you have.
Right.
Okay, you can heal anytime, but right now the energies are supporting healing and health more so than most errors. Spirit told me that.
Hmm. Yeah. Oh, I believe it.
And there's healers all over the place, right? I mean, like
Sure.
everybody, it's like, and it's great.
Which is awesome, isn't it?
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, so I believe that, and I'm taking advantage of it because I'm tired of carrying this lifetime after lifetime. Ah, it's exhausting.
It is. But the problem is we don't know it.
Well, we have
Most
to
of us
learn it
don't
because
know it.
but we
Mhm.
talk to ourselves and we find out, depression is, her name is, compassion, and her name is Deborah. And how I think I can share this with you
Mhm.
is that I had scoliosis extremely bad. Like
Mm,
I couldn't breathe hardly. I was so crippled from scoliosis. So you can't breathe.
mm,
And they threw me out of yoga class and everything because they said your body is totally cemented together. There's nothing anybody can do. I couldn't turn my neck, I couldn't turn my head or anything because everything was cemented together.
mm.
And so I found this wonderful chiropractor healer person who's now my husband. So when I went to see him for an adjustment, I became Deborah who had scoliosis. And he adjusted me, but I had the energy of her being adjusted because she's the one inside of me that was crooked.
Mm.
And I healed quickly.
So when you say you became her, can you share that,
But,
the explanation of that?
well, I know who she is inside of me as a person. And
Okay.
then I know what she looks like. And I said, I'll just be Deborah. I'm taking Deborah to the chiropractor.
Okay.
And he would adjust her, and I would get well so much quicker than like 4 adjustments. In one adjustment, he could adjust me because I went right to the source. I just thought that was a neat idea.
And that's how, so this is before you knew about the shame guilt
Oh,
energy.
definitely. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that came later. So, um,
So you had already started working with your other parts. Is that what you're
yeah,
saying?
yeah,
Okay.
because I got tired of, I ran out of money talking to therapists all the time. And it's like the same old. And I went, I just going to talk to myself. I can I talk to myself all the time.
Hmm.
And so I said, hi, self, what do you want to tell me? And then start writing. I go, oh my goodness, this is so exciting. So that's how it all started.
I see.
And
Okay.
it was a natural response. And that's what I said. There's cultures that do this naturally. It isn't like this is a foreign thing.
Right.
This is a natural thing that a lot of tribal nations use for their normal day activities. This is a normal. We
It's
call
just,
it abnormal because the psychology has, changed it so much.
yeah, I was going to say that it's not normal for us because of that. And I'm beginning to see more and more that that has been intentional manipulation.
I agree. I agree. But
Yeah.
I got to save myself. So That's what I'm doing.
Right.
And the therapist did help me out in the beginning. I'm not saying that it's all bad stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
just saying they helped me out, but they can't take me all the way to enlightenment because they don't know themselves.
Yeah. Fascinating. Well, I hope this is helpful for people. For those of you that are watching, it's I find it amazing. I can't thank you enough, Lois, for bringing this work and for being so vocal about it. Thank you.
And I thank you for receiving.
Of course. Yeah.
And it's I think in the long term, in years to come, maybe 10 years, 15, it's going to be so normal to do this.
Yeah. I agree.
We're forerunners. We're leaders. And someone's got to do it, right? So,
Why not us?
yeah, why not?
Those of us that
and Kat too, he's a leader.
I was just going to say, those of us that are, in our circles, we seem to be the ones that volunteer quite often.
So I appreciate my fellow leaders.
Same here. Yeah. Is there anything else you'd like to share about
I
your
just
work?
love you all.
Oh,
And if you really look at the whole world, you can deduce every problem to shame, guilt, energy. It's quite astounding.
that makes sense.
Everything that's wrong or negative is shame, guilt, energy interference.
Mm-hmm. Right. And it's, yeah.
That's
What
mind blowing.
it is mind blowing, but it makes so much sense. When you think about it, it makes so much sense. It's
everything. Competition, racism, division, jealousy, competition. I mean, it's all. But we can only fix ourselves and radiate that to somebody else. And our parts energetically talk to other parts. It's like the 100th monkey theory.
right.
It snowballs. So in 10 years, people will be doing this all over the place.
Right. Yeah. So to recap for everyone and people that may have come in late, what we can do is recognize our thoughts of shame, guilt throughout our day. Take it and throw it away to the universe. Say, oh, I recognized you. I don't need you anymore. Something like that. Your own way of recognizing it, being aware of it.
Take it. You don't belong here.
You don't belong here.
Don't say I don't need you. You don't belong here. We never needed them. We never needed it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't belong here. You don't belong here.
Okay, you don't belong here. Take it, throw it to the universe for transformation.
Whatever.
Okay. And so and take it from there and explain for our audience now and the steps that they can use to help heal themselves. And of course, go to you, and we're going to have your information below if for help too, definitely. But maybe in their everyday life, as they continue this work, if they come when they come to see you, continuing this work, right? Just throw it away, and then what steps from there?
Well, that's the first step, to know it doesn't belong to you. It's a foreign energy. Then the second step is, well, what am I feeling then? Whatever you're feeling then, that's your emotion: sadness, depression, anxiety, whatever. And then you talk to that emotion, or if you can talk to it, journal to it, or just be aware of it. That's all. Or one time in your life when you were depressed. Oh, okay. I remember that time. Oh, that's how I developed shame and guilt. Oh, get away from you. See, it can be done that easily. And little by little, your emotions turn from negative to positive. All of them. Not one, but all of them.
Okay.
I call it quantum healing.
Nice. So if someone's feeling depressed. Okay, just feel, and sometimes we don't recognize depression. We just feel really down, feel de-energized, can't get out of bed, don't want to get out of bed, don't want to go to your work, don't want to, do what they used to do that makes them happy. Then what?
What do? You can say, you can write to, I don't want to go to work. You don't have to name it, depression or sadness. Say, I hate everybody. Whatever you want to say, you can write
Journal
to
it.
that
Okay.
journal.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, I don't want to go to work today. Hi, I want to be lazy. Thank you
Okay.
so much for coming to me. There's no rule. The only rule is to talk to yourself.
Right.
Whatever you feel, say, hi, feeling. Who are you?
Hi, feeling, who are you? Okay. So if you're talking to depression, or I don't want to go to work, just talk, and I remember now, because it was a couple months ago that I did this work where you sit down and talk to that. And I was journaling because I'm a huge journaler, and I was writing, and then it just started happening. The conversation started happening as I'm writing it and hearing the conversation in my mind, which, 20 years ago with Yeshua, I did this type of work. It was just a little bit different, but I obviously have taken on other parts of me that needed more attention. So, or didn't recognize them. Yeah. So as you're journaling, I want to give someone, the people that are watching, some kind of a way of knowing, a guidepost kind of thing as you're journaling, right? And you're talking to that part of you.
Okay, then what you want to do is find out their name. And if they had 3 wishes, what would they be? And what would you say to a person that you just met? What kind of music do you like? What kind of clothes do you like? What's your favorite color? That's what you do. It's not a scientific thing like, oh, do you feel depressed or sad? No, you're not a psychiatrist. You're just talking to your friend. And when I just met you, I say, hi, what do you like? What music do you enjoy?
Right.
You had 3 wishes, what would they be? And then they say, I had enough, goodbye. So
And they say what?
Sometimes they say, had enough, goodbye.
Had enough, goodbye. Oh.
Yeah. So,
but you just keep at it.
You keep at it and say, good morning, how are you? They go, goodbye. Or they say, oh, thank you for coming. I want to talk to you. It depends. You know how you are. You're moody. You're like, the best question to ask, who tells you what to do? Oh, we're afraid of him. Who's him? Then that's how you get to the inner critic.
That's important.
Yeah. Who tells you what to do? Now, there are other people that their inner critic talks first. And they come out and say, we don't talk to you. You're stupid. And we go, okay, that's the
I
inner
can only
critic.
see half of you, Lois.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah,
moving.
that's good. Yeah.
I was just moving away. I was taken away. The inner critic, if he comes first, or she, they usually say, we don't talk to you. You're stupid. And you go, oh, hi, inner critic. How are you? Oh, you can't see me. You're too stupid to know. Goodbye. And then you talk to them because they really, you got to talk to them and make friends, and then you eventually make friends. It's kind of so fun. It's like the most exciting journey ever.
I like that way of looking at it. Definitely. I remember my inner critic was the Superwoman. She told me she was Superwoman. She had to be strong, and she was telling me that I was weak, and that for whatever reason, the things that she saw, that decisions I had made, I guess, or whatever, that she needed to protect everyone from some of my decisions, I guess.
And that's a true inner critic.
Right.
That's the true inner critic who's going to criticize you.
Mm-hmm.
because you're a 4-year-old. They don't see you as a functioning 40-year-old. So you have to say, hello, it's 2022. Oh, no, it isn't. You're still a baby.
I wish I was 40.
Oh, no, I'm not. Can you come into my timeline? We got some talking to do.
That's important information right there. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. We covered a lot. Ooh.
We did. And we must have been really helping with understanding, because I don't see any more questions. Does anyone have any questions before we close? We'll give it a couple minutes if anyone does. It's been a pleasure again, Lois. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. And
Yeah.
I talked one time for 3 hours and I talked one time for 10 minutes. So, it just goes where it goes. And
Oh,
after
right.
3 hours, I could still talk because it's shame guilt so much to talk about.
Well, you two are awesome. Thank you for sharing. Of course, Pacific Prospector. I know that name, but I don't know. I can't place you. Sorry about that. When you're doing what you love and when you have so much passion about it and you see how it helps people, you can talk all day about it, right? I mean,
Yeah,
it's because
it's
when
my
you,
job.
right,
It's my job. It's my
right.
passion. It's God kept me alive. So keep going.
It's what you're meant to do. What
And
exactly
I have to do more. Go ahead. What
I was just
exactly?
going to
What?
ask you when you discovered this, how long ago was that?
It was probably about 12 years ago. And I was in Sedona. So you know about Sedona being kind of open minded. So I could talk about shame and guilt. But when I moved, people say, "Oh, you're a great speaker. I'd love for you to talk at our conference." I said, "I talk on shame." "Oh, no, we don't talk about that. Can you talk about joy and happiness and love?" And I said, "Sure, anybody can talk about that." But they wouldn't let me talk about shame and guilt because oh, we don't talk about such things. It doesn't exist. I went, "Oh, okay." And so years later, finally, the last 2 years, people have opened up because everything's so crazy. That shame guilt now, you can say that I'm a shame guilt educator. And I don't know how many, 4 or 5 marketing people said, "Lois, you are going to be complete and utter failure because you cannot call yourself a shame guilt educator."
Wow.
And I said, "That's who I am." She says, "You can call yourself a happiness coach or a joy coach or a coach that finds love, but you can't call yourself a shame guilt educator." And I said, "That's who I am. So why can't I call myself that?" So finally, it's okay.
Yeah. Such narrow-mindedness out there sometimes.
Yeah. And the drop down menus, what are you? They don't have a shame guilt educator in it.
Oh, that's funny. Well, in 10 years they will.
Yeah. I have to teach some people, but there isn't. think I'm the only one at this point. I don't know anybody else, but that's okay.
Right. I haven't come across
Someone's got to do
anyone.
it.
So again, thank you so much for bringing this to our awareness, because it's so important. I mean, it's huge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Blessings to you and blessing to all that attended.
Yes.
Goodbye, Kat.
Thank you everyone for being here. And please, if you haven't already, subscribe and like and share, all that YouTube stuff. And we are going to sign off. Love, mwah, love to all of you. Thank you again, Lois, Kat, Bruce, Sally, and everyone else who's here. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned tomorrow. is another great video that we will be having with my friend Michelle Ambergy.
Oh, she's awesome too.
We're going to be talking about quickenings, Kundalini awakenings, and dark nights of the soul, and how to get through those, perhaps, or just sharing and conversing about that type of thing, that spiritual awakenings. All right. Bye, everyone.